home invasion robbery, right?
Yeah.
That was the attempt. You got to set the time, the day, where you're at. You got to tell the whole thing. I love the slipper part too, so don't leave that
Okay,
out.
so at my house, I live in a tri-level home. I got a big 8-foot block wall all the way around the back of my home. You have to in Scottsdale if you have a pool. And it's got a big RV gate on one side and a gate door that comes up from like the basement. And 99% of my life I spend in the basement of my home unless I go to bed. So in the basement, technically, is the man cave. It's got an 85-inch big screen TV. I watch football, UFC, you name it. I've got a big oversized chair. I've got my PlayStation 4 set up, all this bullshit. Yeah, I'm still a little kid at heart playing those games. And so around the doorway right there is the bathroom. Then you go up that little hallway. You can either go up the stairs that goes out into the garage, or you can make a left and it goes into where my office is at and the laundry room. So down there, and I'm playing the PlayStation game, and I'm, Call of Duty, and I'm shoot 'em up, kill 'em, let's get 'em, right? So I'm killing them, and the dogs are barking. And at the time, I had 3 chows and a chihuahua, and all the dogs are barking, and I'm like, what the hell, man? You know what? First of all, around a brick wall, nobody can see my dogs, so they don't know to tease them. The only way that they hear it is they can hear the noise on the other side of the fence, or somebody's throwing something over, taunting them, right? So it goes on and on and on. And Kelly decides she's going to go to the grocery store. She goes, I'll be right back. So
That's your girl.
right. So 45 minutes goes on, right? And she comes back, and I said, you know what? I go, I've had enough of this shit. I go, them damn dogs have been barking this whole time you've been gone. She goes, well, when I pulled out, she goes, I saw somebody standing on the sidewalk, because the back of my house backs up to Greenway, which is a major thoroughfare road, right? And she goes, I saw somebody standing out there. And I said, well, that son of a bitch has got to be throwing something over the fence because they can't see him. So they got to either hear him or he's throwing something. So she goes, I said, you know what? I'm not going to take it anymore. So I jump up, and I'm at home relaxing. I got a pair of gym shorts on, a t-shirt, socks, and I've got flip-flops, not the one that has the toe thing in it. You just slide your feet in. They're like slides.
Real quick, what time is this?
It's about 7 o'clock at night.
Okay, 7 p.m.
And it's dark already, right? So I'm thinking, what the hell? So I said, you know what? I'm going to figure this out. So I run to my office, and I grab one of those big mag lights that I have, the 4-cell mag light, and I've got it in my hand. I go back up the stairs, out through the garage, out the side door, through the gate, and next to my home is a wash right there. So I'm thinking somebody's in the wash. So I go over there, and I'm shining the flashlight up and down. I don't see anybody in there. And I said, you know what? That's bullshit. So I come right back around, and I come in the front door, and I come back around. I'm going to go back down into the man cave and back into the office to put my flashlight back. And I looked at her, and I go, well, there ain't anybody out there. I go, I don't know what the hell. I go, that's crazy. So I come right down, walk right around, walk right in my office, and the guy's standing there, broadside.
What's this guy look like?
He's about 5'8" or 9", and he's standing broadside, like he's standing sideways to me when I walk in. I walk straight in, and he's standing with his left shoulder towards me, but he's standing sideways, and he's got his hat down. And I'm like, I go, oh shit. I go, what are you doing in my house? And then I'm thinking, so all this crazy shit starts going through my head. Like, my girl let this dude in, and now she's going to play a game, right? And how the hell did he get in my house? She had to have let him in the front door, right? Because I just passed by everything out here. He would have had to physically pass right by me. So I start yelling at her, and I'm like, Kelly. And you can hear her in the other room. She goes, you don't talk to me like that. And I go, get your ass down here. She comes down and comes around the corner and looks right in the office, and the guy's standing there. And in the meantime, I'm asking him, I go, what the f- are you doing in my home? And he starts just throwing his hands up like this, and he starts spitting. He's like, pfft, pfft. And I'm like, dude, I go, you came in the wrong fucking house, I'm telling you. And so she comes down and sees him and goes, oh my God. And off she goes. So she goes and calls 911. So I get ready. I'm going to whack him with the flashlight. but now he's trying to stick his hands down in his pants. So I don't know if he's got a gun, a knife, or what he's got. But I'm gonna bust up his skull with this flashlight. And then I see my dad's picture right behind him, and I'm like, oh great, I'm gonna be slinging blood all over in here, all over my dad's picture, and all this different shit. All the crazy stuff goes through your head, right? So I go to grab him, and I get behind him, and I've got the flashlight, and I'm gonna try to smash his larynx. And he's jumping up, and he's pushing off with his legs, and he hits my filing cabinet and pushes me out the door, which goes right onto the tile, right off the carpeting. Well, my foot goes through the flip-flop. Now the flip-flop is, my foot is all the way through the flip-flop part, and the flip-flop is on the back of my calf. And now I'm dancing around with this guy in my socks. And I'm on a tile floor, and I'm slipping and sliding everywhere, and I'm like, oh, this is going to get Western. And then I look, and I've got a big Braveheart sword because of my heritage. I got a big Braveheart sword hanging on the wall right there, and I'm thinking, oh, that fucker gets a hold of that. This is going to get Western in here. So we're wrestling around, and both of us fall down, and we fall down on the ground, and I start to get up, and he gets up before me and turns and runs up the 2 steps and runs right out into the garage and just stops. And I'm thinking, bro, I go, I'm telling you, you came in the wrong house. I got him on you. My service revolver that I carry day in and day out, for whatever reason, I left it on the floorboard of my truck in the driveway. So I was going to try to tell Kelly, go out and get the gun, because I'm gonna cap him up right there. Mm-hmm. But I didn't want her to know that she was going to get the gun, because if he's got one, he's going to start shooting at me already. Well, so I chase him up the stairs, and as soon as we get up to the top of the stairs, he's looking at me, and his eyeballs are about this big around. And I look down, and I go, my lawnmower and tennis shoes were right there, and I'm like, oh my God, if I can get those tennis shoes on, it's about to get real crazy here, because now I can box his ass because I'm not slipping and sliding. So I stop, and I pull the shoe off the back of my calf, the flip-flop, and I slide that tennis shoe on, and I grab the other one. And about that time, the guy looks at me, and you can tell like a bell went off in his head. He was like, and he turned around to run out the door of the house. And when he did, he reached down and picked up this big industrial crowbar, which is about this big, and it's got a big hook on this end. And at this end, it's got a flap where you can pry stuff up, and this is where you can hook them and pry it. So he starts to go out the door, and as he starts to go out the door, I leap across this ice chest, and as he's going out the door like this, he's got his hand up, and I just reach over and I grab that from him, and I just looked at him, and he's standing outside on my patio. And I said, what did I tell you? I go, you came in the wrong house. And I grabbed the hook part of that crowbar, and I just welded it back, and I hit him right here in the middle of his bicep, and I snapped his arm right in half. And dude, he just started screaming like this really high-pitched scream, and blood spurting everywhere. And I was like, I go, really? I go, you think that's it? How about this? And then I hit him here, and I snapped both of those. Now this arm is it's all over the place. And I mean, dude, there's blood. He's spurting blood, and he's trying to get away from me. And he's like a caged animal trying to get away from me. And he's trying to figure out, well, there was a clip that was on the gate, so he couldn't get out there. He ran over there, and I'm behind him. I'm hitting him in the back with that crowbar. And then he runs over, and in the corner, I've got a big tarp that's over an old picnic bench that we're going to restore. So he runs and jumps on that and tries to jump over the wall into the wash. And the wall hits him right here just on his chest, and he's stuck. So now his legs are on this side, and I'm just him up with that crowbar. I'm just beating his ass.
How hard are you swinging that crowbar? I got to ask you.
I'm telling you, I'm bringing it all the way. I'm getting a good swing out of it, and I'm whacking him. And I mean, he's screaming like a female. Like, dude, he's got this high-pitched scream, and you can tell he's in fear for his life. And finally, he's like flipping, and I'm trying to hit his legs, and finally he flips and lands on his back, and you can hear him hit the ground. Ooh! And I'm like, oh shit, get around there in case he's got an AR-15 and pick him up again, because he's going to get away now. And so I run through the gate. I jump into the wash, and he does 2 laps in the wash, and then he starts running down the sidewalk on Greenway. And he's running down, and dude, he's still, like, there's blood everywhere, and he's running like the hunchback of Notre Dame. He's running down there, and I'm behind him. I'm like, I'm going to you. and all this. And the cops, you can see the cops are coming, and they're starting to come everywhere. And he sees the cops, and he runs across from the sidewalk. It's 3 lanes. Then there's a median, and then there's 3 lanes of traffic going the opposite direction. So he runs over, and now he's standing in the median, and the cops are coming in their Tahoes, and I'm shining the flashlight like this, like where he's at. And the cop slams on his brakes and sees it and turns the wheel hard and then flies up over the median and lands. By that time, this guy is on the other side on the sidewalk, and the cop just jumps out and takes off running and just forearm blasts him. And the guy goes into the wall. Now that cop's rolling around on the ground with him, and this guy's getting the better of this cop, and blood's everywhere. The cop's all bloody. And
let me ask you real quick: what was your obviously? Were you scared? Were you? What was your adrenaline? Were you just
literally snapped? I had lost my mind. The only thing I could think of is I wanted to kill him at this point. He violated. He came in my home. You know what? I'm going to defend my home no matter what. I don't care what it is. But by him spitting and throwing his hands up at me, just sent me over the edge. And I don't even know how to say it. So they're fighting, and I get over there. By this time, there's 6 cop cars, and they're coming from everywhere. And people they're slamming on the brakes, and they're sliding, and there's rubber, smoke everywhere. Cops are coming. And I get over there, and I'm running up there, and I've got the crowbar. I got the flashlight in this hand and the crowbar in this hand, and I'm running up there. And so now there's probably 4 cops that are helping this guy, and they turn around, and they all draw their gun, and they're like, "Sir, you need to stop." And I'm not thinking because I've snapped. And I'm like, I'm going to that guy. And they're like, "Sir, we got him. You need to stop. Stop, sir, stop." And I'm like, I go, "Fuck you." I go, "Don't tell me what to do." And so I get up there and I stop, and they've got him. They got him hooked up, and they're going to put him in the back of the car. And they're like, "Yeah, we're going to have to call emergency on him because he's got multiple fractures, and the bones are sticking out of his skin." And I said, "I don't give a fuck. That fucker needs to die." I go, "That's bullshit." I go, "He came in my house." And he goes, "Sir," he goes, so the cop looks at me and he goes, "Sir," he goes, "we need to go back to the house." And I said, "Okay." So I turned around to start walking, and he's like, No. He goes, "I need you to get in my car." I said, "I'm not getting in your car." And he said, "No, sir." He goes, I need you to get in the car." He goes, "I'll drive you back over there." And I said, "I'm not going to tell you again. I'm not getting in your car." I go, "I need to walk back to my house." And I said, "Believe me, I need this little bit of time so I go, this shit doesn't turn off like a switch with me. I'm just letting you know." I said, "I'm going to need this little walk to get back to my home." And I said, "I'll be okay when I get back over there." And he said, "No, sir." He goes, "I need you to get in the car." And I said, "That's bullshit." And so I said, "Okay, whatever, man." So I'm standing there, and he's digging his shit out. And I said, "Here, I'll just get in the back seat." He goes, "No, people spit and piss back there." He goes, "I don't want you sitting in that seat back there." He goes, "I'm going to move my stuff from the front seat to the back seat." He goes, "You get in the front seat." So I'm standing right behind him, and I go, "Dude," I go, "that's enough. I can just get in there." And he turns back around, and he looks at me, and he goes, "Sir." He puts his finger up, and he goes, "Will you do me one favor?" And I said, "What's that?" And he goes, "Will you give me the crowbar?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, here, you can have that, motherfucker." I climbed in the seat, we drive around there, and then we get over there, and the cops are coming in and out of my house, and they want to know where the whole thing happened. And they were like, "Damn, dude, it looks like he killed a pig. There's blood everywhere, and it's all over my outside patio." And they're like, I'll never forget, the one guy comes out and goes, "Dude," he goes, "Did you see that?" He goes, "You got an SKS in there with a bayonet on it. He could have fucking killed this guy. And did you see that Braveheart sword in there?" And he was like, "Oh, yeah, in that other room over there, he's got 10 AR-15s and 10,000 rounds of ammo." He goes, "Dude," he goes, "this could have been a way different scene." And I said, "Believe me." I go, "The next motherfucker comes in my house." I go, "I'm splattering their shit because I ain't dealing with you guys."
Hey, Joe and Steve, next time we go to Arizona and visit Ed, do you have a Ring camera? Because I want to let you know that I'm coming to the door. What do you think? Yeah,
No.
We go for a barbecue, a hamburger.
No,
yeah,
no
okay.
shit, right? So
No,
yeah.
but all joking aside, I know without a fact, I'm gonna say this to the camera, you got one huge heart, but I'd hate to see that other side of you. You're like a military veteran, and I know you probably give to all the little puppy dog commercials that come on there with the little abused animals in the
That's right.
commercial. I know you do.
Well, I just had this conversation with this lady over at the bank. She's from the Indian reservation up north, and we were talking about animals and stuff. And I said, growing up, we used to help our cattle, sometimes the mama wouldn't be able to get the baby out, so you have to go out there and help them pull them out. And I said, sometimes the mama just refuses to take care of the baby and you have to bottle feed them. And I said, I don't know how many times I could tell you that I bottle fed baby calves. And I said, you get so attached to them. And I said, it was crazy. I go, we ended up getting the chows, and I got a daddy dog and a mama dog. And this is before I had the third chow, because she's a baby of the third litter that they had. But she had her first litter, and she decided she's going to have it in the closet in our master bedroom. And so I said, you know what? I said, I think Lucy's going to have her baby. So I go in there, and she's already on like baby number 3, and the first 2 aren't breathing. And she's kind of worked on them a little bit, but they haven't come around yet. And so Kelly's like, oh shit. She goes, I think they're stillborns. And I said, you know what? I said, get your ass out of the way. She goes, what are you talking about? I said, get out of the way. So I said, I get on my hands and knees, and I reach right down there, I grab those pups, and I started giving them mouth to mouth. And I said, I brought them back. And she was like, dude, that's the craziest fucking thing I ever seen. And I said, you know what? I said, you grew up on a ranch. I go, you never had to do that shit before? I said, all of our dogs have had stillborns. And I said, you bring them back by giving them mouth to mouth. And she goes, oh, she freaked out because it had all that mucusy shit all over her. I said, I didn't even give a shit. I just wiped it off and just started giving them mouth to mouth.
Well,
I'm a baby at heart, but
yeah. Well, we had sushi last night, and I don't think there was anything on that plate you weren't afraid to eat.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm eating it all. Yeah.
No,
Yep.
that's so. Cops bring you back in the car. You come back home. The last I'd love to close this out is you go to court.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So they said, okay, well, Mr. Garner, are you going to want to talk? And I said, yeah, because what had ended up happening is Kelly was so freaked out over the deal. Like the very next weekend, I go outside to mow the lawn, and she locks me out of the house. And I'm like pounding on the door, and I'm like, what? And she goes, I'm afraid to be here now. I'm afraid somebody's going to come in. And she goes, I'm going to lock and I said, this is bullshit. This is my house. I said, you're not locking me out when I'm outside mowing the lawn. She goes, yeah. And then, we got threatened. They weren't going to let the grandkids and all these, everybody come to visit us because now, we have a problem with our house because we had this home invasion. I said, you know what? That's bullshit. And I said, but I was here. I defended my home. I go, nobody got anything from us. And I said, that guy, I can promise you, is up. And so the prosecutor called me and says, Mr. Garner, he goes, are you going to come to court? Because we're going to need you as a witness. And I said, yeah. And I said, am I going to have an opportunity to speak? And he goes, yeah. He goes, we're going to give you an opportunity to speak. And I said, okay. And I said, he goes, because we want to hear what you have to say. And I said, okay, good. I said, because I'm ready to do it. So I just took my paper and I had some bullet points on there that I wanted to remember, like being locked out of the house, how it's changed our life, all this different shit, right? So I'm sitting in the courtroom, and first of all, the courtroom's packed. There isn't even standing room. And there's all these different cases, and I'm like case number 2. And my guy that's messed up is standing over next to the wall with an interpreter and a cop, and he's got a full body cast on from his waist up to his neck right here, with his arms out like this because of the multiple fractures on his arm right here. They didn't want him moving his arm, so he's standing over there, and the court-appointed attorney gets up and starts this whole circus. He gets up there and he goes, Judge, oh my God, take a look at my client. He's got a full body cast on. He's got multiple fractures on his arm. His arm's never going to be the same. And do you know that he has over 50 contusions on his back and 45 between his legs and on his legs and all this different shit? And I'm sitting out in the crowd and I'm just like, yeah, and you know what? He deserves more than that shit. And so I'm like, I can't wait to get up there. And I mean, this guy is putting on this soap opera. And he's just going, but look at him, Judge. He's never been in trouble and all this other stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I go, that's a crock of shit. I go, because I know for a fact, when you're an illegal alien and you're born in Mexico, you don't get a birth certificate when you're born. And 99% of those people who are all born at their homes, they don't get a birth certificate that has your little foot stamp on there of what your name is and who you are. And I said, so the judge says, oh, so the homeowner, he's here and he wants to speak. And the prosecutor goes, oh yeah, he wants to talk to you. So I get up there and I said, really? I go, I came down here for the circus. I go, this is a bunch of, she goes, Mr. Garner, she goes, you're going to have to watch your language. And I said, you know what, ma'am? I said, you shouldn't have let me talk if you didn't want to hear what I have to say. And I said, I just can't speak it without saying a curse word. So you're just going to have to deal with it. She goes, you're really going to need to watch your mouth in front of me, Mr. Garner. And I said, you know what? I go, this is all. And I said, this is all a joke. And I said, and you're trying to tell, and I said, I heard part of what the court-appointed attorney said, that the guy was looking for food and water. I said, really? So I said, you come inside of my home. You didn't knock on my door and ask for water or food, was where you think that I would be that kind of person to say, you know what, get the out here and slam the door in your face. I said, besides that, there's a hose of a spigot right there where he could have taken the drink of water out of my garden hose. And I said, I've done it plenty. I've been out there mowing the lawn where I've drinking out of the garden hose. I said, really? So like that's something contaminated or something? And I said, so a guy comes in my home. This is a home invasion, Your Honor. I go, I don't know what, and she goes, no, sir, it's trespassing. And I go, that's a bunch of, I said, because I know what trespassing is. And I go, trespassing is when he comes on my yard and I tell him I don't want him to be there or I have signs up. And I said, where he comes inside of your home with a weapon? She goes, well, that's technically, and I said, it is a weapon. I said, I never had that industrial crowbar. I've never owned one of those. And I said, he brought that to my house. And I said, what the f- do you think he's going to do with that? The same time he's looking for food and water. Really? I go, you know what? I go, this is nothing but a circus. And I go, and I didn't come to listen to this guy. Oh, poor him. I said, you know what? You son of a, you got to be lucky you're still alive. And I said, I'm just going to tell you something. This is how it's going to go. I go, ma'am, I go, you interpreting this? And she goes, yes, sir. So I started to walk from the podium over towards there, and the cop steps up and goes to draw his gun. And I said, no. I said, you need to tell him. I said, you come back. I said, I'll shoot you down. I'll kill you and all of your family. I go, don't you come back to my house. And I said, you know what? I said, I'm done talking to this. I go, this is a bunch of, I go, I know more about the law than you do. And she's like, she's pounding on the deal. Mr. Garner. And I said, you know what? I go, don't tell me. I go, I know more about the law than you do. And I said, this is a home invasion. And I go, that's a felony. And I said, you're only going to put him. And I said, I go, do you know what a joke is, what you're telling me? You're going to incarcerate him for 15 months and then you're going to deport him and red flag him? I go, really? I go, you know how stupid that sounds? I go, who the f- do you think you're talking to? I go, how do you think he got here? He swam across the Rio Grande River. He's an illegal alien. He didn't go to Nogales and say, by the way, my name's Jose something, and I'm wanting to come back in Arizona. You're going to red flag him? He ain't going to talk to those people. He's going to sneak in just like he did before. And I said, Kim, he needs to know. I said, I'll ask down all you and your family. And I said, I stomped out of there, and she was hitting the gavel while I was leaving, and I ended up flipping everybody off, and I ran out to the elevators, and I wanted to get out of there because she was like, I'm going to have you in contempt of court. And the prosecutor chased me to the elevators, and I told him, I said, get away from me. I said, you're going to be the first guy I beat up right here.
I was just curious. Before you left, did you leave him a granola bar and a bottle of water?
I gave him the birds by both fingers as I went out of the door.
You fed him something.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right.
And then I threatened the prosecutor. He chased me to the elevator, and I said, get away from me. I said, I never want to see you again. I go, you lied to me. And I go, 15 months. Really? Deport him? Red flag? You. Who do you think you're talking to here? I know exactly how this shit works. I deal with these guys in the street day in and day out where you guys just get this kind of crap after it's all over with. I go, no way. Not dealing with it. He's in this country illegally. He's gonna go down. You did a crime. That's the way it is.
That's a great story, man.
Yeah. I'll tell you, it makes you think. But you know, really, being in the security industry that I am in, and you know what, observing and reporting, you know, there isn't really anything that I miss. No. And I'm thinking, I'm like, how in the hell did this guy get down into my office? He had to, like, I'm really surprised that we didn't like meet each other in the hallway or in the staircase or in the door going in to the garage. Why didn't he stay in the garage, or why did he come in my home? How did I not pass him? And then you know what? It really had me messed up for about 6 or 8 months thinking, you know what? Am I really that good at security, or this is a failure? Dude, that fucker got past me and got in my home. I go, that was crazy.
Yeah, but just think of all the emotion you were able to release using that crowbar.
Oh,
That's
man.
kind of a gift.
Oh, yeah, dude.
How many
I'm
times have
telling
you wanted to do that?
Oh, my God.
I'm going
I
to be
wanted-
honest with you. I'm going to be honest with you. How many times you wanted
Oh,
to?
Lord.
You dream of that stuff,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You dream of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I had, you know what? I've had a couple growing up that were bullies to me that I like to do that too. But I've had some guys, some that like in those fights and stuff, especially when I've been by myself, where I thought they were getting a better hand on me. I wish that I had something to defend myself.
Yeah, well, I thought the approach would have been a lot better if you said, "Excuse me, sir, I'm just wondering why you're in my house. And can I feed you water? And are you okay? Is there anything I could do for you? Is this a mistake?" Wow.
Yeah. I couldn't fathom the reason why he was in my home. I just really couldn't. And then because obviously he wasn't telling us that he needed food and water. He didn't say that to me.
Yeah.
But you know, he said it to the court-appointed attorney, and now here it is in court. And it was just something I didn't want to hear because I hadn't heard any of that. When the prosecutor asked me if I wanted to come down and talk, he didn't ever say, by the way, the guy's claiming he was there for food and water.
I think you could have closed it out in a really great way. You could have said, and here's another thing. I was at my highest score on PlayStation when you came in.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah. I was.
That really
I
pissed
was
me off.
Yeah, I was moving to like level 15.
Yeah.
You jacked me up.
When you're hit, when you're beating the hell out of me, say, dude, I was at 11:15. That's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah, man.
Has everybody calmed down at the house? I mean, you have to admit, you know, everybody be scared too.
Well, they were, and you know, I think part of my problem is that, you know what, everybody took it sort of like the next level. Okay, it wasn't something that I invited somebody in, was there when we weren't there. You know, yeah, it happened. I can't fix what happened. But I protected us. I protected my home. I protected myself. I protected Kelly. I protected my dogs. You know what? I defended my home at the end of the day. And you know what? The guy, first of all, the guy is never going to forget me. That's the first thing. He'll never be able to use his arm the right way again. And, you know, I think that for him, he needs to be thankful that he's still alive. God's truth. Because I'm telling you, I would have not hesitated to kill him and to shoot him. And, you know, you can see where people, like literally, Chris, you know what? I've been mad a few times. I was in a bare knuckle fight out in South Phoenix when I was like 22, and I kind of snapped like that, and I didn't stop. And then I was in another fight in Camp Verde where this guy came up. I was sitting at the dinner table with my mother and dad, and he came up and he accused me of stealing his saddle out of the back of his truck. And I said, "Sir," I said, "first of all, I'm not a thief." And I said, "I've been sitting here with my mother and dad at the dinner table." And my dad stood up and said, "Sir, you got the wrong guy." And he threatened my father. And then he turned around and told me, he goes, "I was a Marine." He goes, "I'll just rip your heart out and show it to you in front of you." And I jumped up and I ran him back about 15 feet, and I had him by the throat, and his feet are about 6 or 8 inches off the ground, and I'm just pummeling him. And my mom went to grab me, and I backfisted her across, and she flew across the dinner table, not really realizing. And then, so I ended up finishing going out, didn't get home till late. My mom comes down, wakes me up, and said, "Hey, you know what? We really want to talk to you." So they get me up the next morning, and they're like, "You know what?" She goes, "What I saw last night," she goes, "I'm really terrified." She goes, "I'm afraid that you're going to snap like that and you're going to kill somebody because you won't stop." And, you know, the thing is every guy that's been in a fist fight, I don't care who it is, fights to win. I just never poked anybody in the eyes, never punched you in the balls. I'm not trying to bite your ear off. I'm going to smash your face or I'm going to break your limbs. That's just how it's going to go for me. And you're going to regret being in that fight if you have to go there. I've never instigated a fight. I have never intentionally caused a fight with somebody for absolutely no reason. And I would say probably over all the fights that I've been in, I've been in them to protect a female or protect something, vehicle, home, property, something. And, you know, it's just, I'm afraid of that snapping part, that I think that there's a lot of males and females that happens to, that can't control their emotions after that. And you're uncontrollable. And like literally all I could see was black. Is the only way I can explain it to you.
Yeah.
I don't know that I could explain like the bits and details. This fight, I remember the bits and details because all of my personal possessions are in that office. Family heirlooms, my dad's picture, my mom's picture.
Yeah, very personal.
Personal shit that I'm seeing and I'm like, dude, I splattered that guy's brains all over that picture. I'm going to have to wipe all that shit off there. I'm like, I mean, it's crazy stuff that goes through your head. But then after I'm like, you know what? I'm fighting to win. That's bullshit. He's in my home and I have a right to be able to protect myself.
Yeah.
And there's parts of it that I don't even remember. Like going down the street, I remember chasing the guy, but I don't remember crossing the street and getting on the other side where the cops pulled the guns on me because I had snapped. Literally, I had snapped. And I really, really needed that time to walk back.
Yeah.
Where I could have personal ed time. I needed that where I could have shut that button off, even though there's not a button. But I needed that. Oh my God, what have you done? Are you okay? Oh my God, is everything at the house okay? Where you can kind of come down yourself. And the cop wasn't giving me that. He wanted me to come back. And I ended up going out on the back patio and I sat for about 30 minutes while they were like looking at everything and seeing where I told them this happened. I showed them and all this different shit, and they were writing down the report and everything. And I said, where's the guy? And they said, oh, dude, he's out in the car. He goes, we're going to have to get him somewhere. We think he's going to bleed to death. And I go, I'm going to go out there. Well, the lieutenant that was standing there, he goes, sir, he goes, I don't want you going out there. And I go, you're not telling me. I go, this is in front of my house. I go, I'm talking to some bitch. I go, which one of you speaks Spanish? And he goes, I do. And I go, come out here. And I went right out there and I got right in the window. I said, somebody, you come back here. I told him again right there. And you know what? Was it the right thing to do? Maybe not at that point because I had already done the damage. But you know what? The thing is when you're spun out like that, it's hard to like bring you back. And for me, it doesn't turn off like a switch, and it doesn't happen in 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I know the other side of you too. That takes a lot to get there. So if you never have to do that again. So
yeah.
This ends our commercial for Let's Make America Great Again. So we thank you for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. And I do want
Thanks for having me.
I want you to come back. We'll share more on the event side.
Well, thanks for listening to my story.
No,
I'm glad I could. Actually, it kind of helps me to speak it sometimes because it kind of helps me get past it too.
Yeah.
So,
well,
yeah.
glad I could be here to help you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, me, Chris, your friend.
Right, okay. Absolutely.
Hey, buddy.
Absolutely, brother.
Well, I appreciate you coming again. You know I love you, man. It's been a long time.
Love you too, brother.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Thank you. Hey, everyone. No matter where you're watching from, if you get anything out of this, please like and subscribe. And most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a comment. Thank you for watching.